Welcome to MRE Uncut, where we'll give you real and practical insights into the real estate scene in Melbourne. We'll discuss what's happening in the industry, all backed by MRE's history of over 30 years in the game. With that said, let's jump into this week's episode of MRE Uncut.
Welcome back to another podcast. My name's Stephen Fitzsimon, and today I'm joined by Peter Hooymans.
Steve-O.
And I've got Dana Walton from REI Super. Thanks for joining us, Dana.
Oh, Steve-O, so happy to be here.
Great, fantastic. Now, the reason that we caught up with Dana again today is that recently Dana was good enough to come into the office and have a chat to the whole team in relation to their situation with their super. One of those topics that sometimes we ignore a little bit too much. And Dana brought it back to front of mind. So thank you for doing that, Dana, and thanks for joining us today.
Oh, such a pleasure. I've been really looking forward to this actually. So, yeah, thank you for having me.
I mean, sorry, I was going to say that like the main thing when Dana came in was how young the room was.
Yeah. They're all budding super balancers just sort of starting.
Well, it was so like the timing because I remember being them.
Yeah.
Not long ago, and older people saying to me, "What are you doing with your super?" Well,
who cares?
Oh man, I was 33. I was like, "What are they talking about?"
Yeah.
Like, what are these old people talking about?
Yeah.
And
that'll
I think
figure itself
that's
out.
kind of a good segue into what I thought was a really fabulous story which Dana told, which maybe you could give us a condensed version.
Absolutely, Pete. So I think the passion for me is very much around, like I've done a few laps of the sun, so for me it's very much around what I didn't know and the education I didn't have and with super and where I am now. So my passion now is very much around trying to educate not only young ones, like, in audiences, there's young people, there's middle-aged, there's also older people who haven't had a really great education in superannuation. So, for me when I was younger, it was very much not having that education, not really looking after my finances, having a really great lifestyle when I was younger, and not being taught about what fiscal responsibility was. So,
leaving it till later.
Oh, totally. Superannuation, everyone knows superannuation is a long game. Like it's all about the end. When I say the end, it sounds terrible, doesn't it? But it's not the end of your life.
The end of your working life.
It's the end of your working life.
It's a hard balance though, right? Because you're saying when you're younger, practice delayed gratification effectively so that you can put in your super. Then you go, but I want to go to Bali. I want to go to Europe.
Oh, so correct.
So like it's a bit of a tricky balance, I reckon, because I myself am a bit guilty of probably, having a good time and I should have put more away. But then I go, oh, yeah, but then I wouldn't have done this, this and this. So it's not that easy.
Pete, aren't we all like that?
Yeah.
Like, when you're young, like especially like I was talking to your team and I was seeing some people the light bulb was going off saying, fantastic, my God, I've got to do something about this. And others are just sort of thinking, I could see it because I was that, oh my God, what's this old girl, flapping on about, blah, blah, blah. But, it is just so important. And I know, I'm talking from experience here, I'm the epitome of what not to do with your super. Right. So what my whole mission is and what my purpose is now is to go out and to talk to people and say, with a few really simple, easy, quick changes, you can make such a difference to your fiscal health, and you're not going to have those really, those stressful times as you're going through your life journey with your super journey. So super and life journeys are aligned. That's what super does. Super is very much about traveling through your life journey and then offering you things to try and help get you to where you need to be when you want to retire. So, and as we say, the young ones think, they hear the word retire, oh, that's way down the track. I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
I don't need to worry now, But as I said in that presentation, I went to bed last night without wrinkles. I woke up this morning with loads of them. Yeah. So it happens really quickly.
It does go quick. I'll give you,
Pete, you were amazing. Steve, you were amazing. You stood up and you said, guys, you have to listen to this bird.
Yeah.
Because this is what reality is. This is what happens.
Yeah,
So,
well, you and I share a similar journey. I lived in Italy for years and I had an awesome time. I've got a full memory bank of amazing things, but the super balance
Nothing
did
in
not
the
grow.
bank.
Yeah, exactly.
He had a good time though.
Yeah.
Totally.
He told me some stories.
That's where you got to balance it out.
We can't repeat, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But,
well, that's the one. But
Yeah.
Steve, you're right because, I went overseas. I had a great time, like you guys know, as I chatted to your team about and surfed for a while and, had a fabulous time. Then came back, like my mates were all working.
Yeah.
And people were saying, Dane, you really need to be a bit responsible. Yeah, whatever. Like that's a long way away.
Yeah.
And just kept on, like own my own business. 10 years, didn't know about super and then didn't pay myself super.
Yeah.
So,
Which is quite easy to do, to be honest, because I did the same because you're busy building the business and you're putting all your spare cash into the business.
Of course you are.
And that's not that I think is
relying on that.
That's actually really common for business owners. But, post that chat when you came in, I've mentioned this to you this morning, like diving into finding these little online calculators, which, let's even say 10 years ago didn't even exist. And you can now just do literally Google superannuation, calculator or superannuation compound calculator, something like that. And all these different options come up. And just out of fun, I've been running these scenarios, sort of putting myself in the position of the youngsters in our office.
Yeah.
And for example, I might say starting balance 50K because they've been working for 3 or 4 years. What if they put in $500 a month or $400 a month after tax contribution?
Yeah.
Which, if you're in real estate sales, really is very, very doable.
It's doable.
And if you're in if you've been in real estate sales a while, that's more than that, for example. And then extrapolate that out over 30 years. So to their, say, 55 only, which is quite young. And then we talked about your high growth fund returning about 13%. So you put in 13% as the compound number, and the end figures, nobody even gets close.
No.
To the, and we're talking, it's like a lot of them come in at like, $7, $8, $9, $10 million balance, just by putting away that little bit of dough.
Amazing.
Now for a long period. And that's actually got me a little bit entertained at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's why I loved
entertained.
I was excited for you to come in to just so we could talk about that because it's really powerful.
It's really powerful, Pete. And, I think for me, because I'm not from a finance background, and for me to be working in this space is really different. But I'm just so passionate about it. Number one, because as I said to you before, like I don't want people to be in the position I'm in right now. But number two, if you are a little bit educated and you know exactly what you're doing, then it's so easy to make such a difference. And, like for you, for anybody, if you have a plan and you know where you want to go, you can do it, get onto the calculators, fabulous. But there's also financial planners. There's people that can really help you to make the right moves for
Which
your
is
super.
a good little segue. Let me throw in a disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
This is not financial advice.
No.
We're not allowed to give financial advice.
We are not.
This is stories and ideas and experiences.
Correct.
To sort of, prompt people to seek their own advice.
Their own way.
Just so we're both covered.
Correct.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Because you never know
who's
going to
knock on the door.
No, that's right.
And so, Dana, now you are a ball of energy. You're like a halo of electromagnetic energy when you walk into the room.
Oh, my goodness.
I look on your LinkedIn profile and you're at JC North, you're at MRE, you're at here, you're at Bell, you are everywhere every day. You're busy.
I'm busy.
Right, and you're busy and you're representing REI Super. Why are we moving to REI Super?
Wow. For real estate, REI.
Other than to just be associated with you.
Oh, of course.
Because I would do it for that.
Yeah. That's so
Knowing
gorgeous.
That I get this massive energy bundle.
Oh, thank you so much.
That's right.
REI Super is the industry fund. So we've been, like, we're the oldest. We've been around for 48 years.
Wow, okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of people don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was born from real estate agents. So that's how we actually came to fruition. And people on our board are really well-known people in the industry. They're amazing. They've been around for a very long time, very experienced. And so what happens with REI Super is we're very much we're in tune with the industry because we've got these really very experienced people on our board. I think for us, really, it's about we're a boutique fund. Yep. So we still want to grow. There's no doubt about that. But we've got, really focused energy on our members. We don't have shareholders, so that all of the return from our whatever we make with our investments and stuff go back to our go back to our members, which is great. So they're the primary focus for us.
And there would obviously be some small fees in there along the way, of course.
Well, we've got to make money.
You've got to pay the bills. Yeah.
Correct. So we've got some small fees.
But that's normal for all funds.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got, and our fees are very competitive.
Yes.
So that's great. But I guess we pride ourselves in our really personal service to our members. So
we've certainly experienced that. So, that's the component that we take from it. So you go.
Yeah, no. So if we let's say we sign up to REI Super, which, we've got various members, including myself, talk about, and we wanted to talk strategy or changing from a medium growth option to a high growth option or a balanced option or whatever the options are. Do we talk to you?
You can talk to me. Mm-hmm. We're very cognizant of our licenses. So if there's an area where I think I'm overstepping the line, then I'll definitely put you in touch with the right person when you're a member with us. So we just want to make sure that we don't give you the wrong advice.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that your money is, we're your trustee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure that we're investing your money the right way. And I don't want to be telling you something that I think is the right thing, but perhaps it may not be the right thing in your personal circumstance.
Sure.
So we really pride ourselves on that. I think, look, from personal experience, I spoke to you about when my partner passed away and trying to get some help from one of the bigger funds, and it was just a nightmare to try and be able to speak to somebody to get some empathy or sympathy or whatever you want to call it at a really difficult time. So the reason I joined REI Super was really because, number one of my colleagues I just adore, and I met him at an event. So when this role came up, I just went, oh my God, I'd love to work with him, which is amazing. But I also saw that real human side after having experienced just being a number.
Yeah.
So for me, personally, that's really important to me. So, when people ask me that question, Pete, why REI Super? There's lots of things. We've got great returns. We've got very competitive fees. We're small and agile. We can make moves really quickly.
Yeah.
We don't have that bureaucracy and that hierarchical stuff that a lot of the bigger funds have.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, when you need to speak with your super fund, it's usually because you really need to speak with them. So having someone, a name, right, you can absolutely call.
And when you think about, let's say, someone in their 40s or even their 50s who might have been in the super system for 20 years and had contributions put in correctly, unlike you and I, we're talking big bucks.
Oh, amazing.
We're not talking, 100,000. In some cases, it's in the millions.
Oh.
So it's more than your house type of thing. So why wouldn't you want the best advice?
That is such a great point, because your super is either one or two, right? Number one, if you've got property, will usually be that's your biggest asset.
Yep.
But your super is going to be number two, right? And you really, I'm just gobsmacked when I go around. And like you say, Pete, I'm everywhere because I'm so passionate about it. But I'm gobsmacked at how many people don't know about their super. They just don't. They just go set and forget. Don't know what it is.
Is that where the passion comes from?
Yeah.
because like it's really a bit of a beacon to me. I'm like, wow, you are so driven about this. Is that
over the top?
It's right.
No, I don't think it's over the top.
Selling is a transfer of enthusiasm.
I think it's really, really good. I think it's a gift
that
you're giving actually. But I was sort of curious as to where that sort of like, because the drive is like your drive is like 11 out of 10, and it's because you want to help, right?
It is so much because I want to help. And like I said earlier, I don't want people to go through what I'm going through now, because if I knew what I knew now, I would have completely had a different view and a different strategy with my superannuation. I look at your team, and there's not many wrinkles in that team.
No.
So I get very, very excited because I think, wow.
So
me too.
Yeah.
I do. I think
I know,
we could just get them like contributing a tiny bit of their dosh.
Just a little bit.
$50.
I know.
Something.
I
so
know.
we're talking about this, like I'm looking at this, and we've got listeners that might be at different stages of their lives. So you talked about one thing that I wanted to cover off on, beneficiaries.
Oh, so good. Yeah.
You're saying that it's so important to make sure that your beneficiaries are up to date. Because if something happens to you, you want the money to go where you want it to go. And if you set and forget 15 years ago, and that was 3 wives ago or 3 husbands ago,
which is not uncommon. It's not uncommon in our game.
No, in the real estate industry.
Yeah.
In fact, it's too common.
Yeah. So, you want to make sure that they're right. But then I also want to look at, okay, let's say I'm in my early 20s, I've just started my role in real estate. I'm trying to get ahead, and I hear this podcast about super. You're suggesting to those guys pay a bit more attention. You also said the type of fund that you're sort of suggesting that they push on because they're more risk. They're more excited by a bit of risk, and they're looking for returns. Can you go into a little bit more detail about that?
So I think with super, it's very much, as I said, it's a journey.
Yeah.
And for us, what we do is we actually look at it and we say, right, well, it's never too late to get started. It's never too late. So you can always sort of make different moves and the rest of it. But for me, I look at it and I just go, right, well, there's 2 different ways of investing your money. There's 5 different investment options in any super fund.
From sort of high return, high risk, low return, low risk.
Going down the list. But for me, I talk about 2. And generally what happens is when you sign up for your super fund, it goes into balanced, which is a great return, right? A really good return. And
circa
9.45 this year for us.
It's huge.
Okay,
yeah.
That's great.
So, think about what banks give you.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, you sort of look at that and go, cool. That's really great, and that's nice, and you set and forget and you let it go, and there's nothing else, right? But if you're someone who keeps an eye on your super fund, right, and you've got a little bit of an interest in it, which is what I'm trying to generate with our kids, right, or anybody, not just our kids.
Yeah.
It's your money. Let's just make it work for you. Then I always say, why don't you have a look at what we call a growth option.
Slightly higher returns.
Yeah.
But a bit riskier, so it might be a bit lumpy.
That's right. It's a bit lumpy. So when you're going into that, you're sort of looking like it goes up and down.
Yeah.
Right. Which is fine.
Normal.
Yeah, it's normal. So because your super fund, your trustee is actually overseas having a look at different things, and they diversify. So things are a little bit different. So if you're someone who, if you're young and you're not really interested, right, then it's someone that's something that you would consider.
Yeah.
If you're someone that's a bit of a stress head, it might be something that you wouldn't consider because they are so lumpy and they are, they go up and down.
Understand.
But, this year for us, it was 12.77. This last year.
That's the higher return.
That's the higher return.
High fund. Yeah.
So you go from 8.45 to 12.77. So it's a really big difference.
What is it over a decade, say?
I'd have to look at that for you, Pete. I'd have to look at that for you.
It'd
be around, probably about 8 to 9, I would say.
Okay. Over the
right?
decade,
So it's still really
healthy.
It's a really healthy, strong return.
Yeah.
But look, definitely there's different ways that you can look at your super, and it's you've just got to lean in.
Yeah.
Like it's your money.
Yeah.
And so with REI, you have a portal that you can log into.
We definitely do.
Yeah, right. So, which is kind of a bit sort of dangerous in a way, because if you're logging in, looking at it all the time, I know actually a few members in our team who, when COVID was happening and the market tanked, they're super hard.
Correct.
I was like, don't worry about it.
It'll come back.
Stop looking at it. And then now, of course, it's come back threefold.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, because having not looked at the REI portal, if that's something that when you're a member you get to log in, see your balance.
Goodness.
I'm sure,
everything's there. Like it's a really, really good portal, and all super funds have to have them, right?
Yeah.
But they're really good. They're a really good basis for your information. So if you are someone who likes to look at your super all the time, well, it's there. You can have a look at that. But ours is really easy to access in terms of, if you want to change something, if you want to, for example, you might think, okay, I want a salary sacrifice or whatever, and you can go into your calculator, have a look, and then you can go back to your employer and say, you know what, I need that dough right now, so let's pull that out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to do that now, but you can go back and do it. Or if you want to change your investment options, you can do that online.
Really? That's
right?
good.
All your stuff is online, so it's really easy. For me, being an old dog, I like to talk to someone. So if I'm often getting people, and that's what keeps me so busy, because
if you prefer that, then
people will ring me and say, can you help me do blah, blah, or whatever. So I spend time on Teams, or I'll go out and see them. But I think that, the portals are really easy. So super it's not like the old days where, people think finance, oh my God, it's too hard, it takes too long.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It is so simple, and you've got your super is in the palm of your hand. You've got control of it, and it's really important that you do take control of it, because, as I say, I'm taking the microphone here. Sorry,
no,
but you're here for that purpose.
But it's just so important, and I'm at that stage in my life now where I should be retiring in 2 years. I can't do that. And that's because I didn't know.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse now for people not to do it, because the education's there.
So we're looking now, we've got, okay, let's pay some attention to it. You don't need to pay a lot. You don't need to be there daily, weekly, monthly, annually even. You just need to pay some attention to it after you've heard the podcast. Check it out, start making some minor amount of contribution, something that's reasonable and affordable and beneficial to you, and make sure your beneficiaries are updated once in a while.
Boom, Steve.
So that you don't have it going the wrong way.
You go through to lots of offices, and I see, in the group photos, and there's 15, 20, 30, 50 people. What's sort of an average extra contribution after tax that you would recommend, or I'm not sure if we can say that or not, but what's
really.
What's a common thing? Do people put in $50 a month? Is that?
It's such a really good question. I think because everyone's financial situation is different, we don't know.
Yes.
Like I always say in presentations, you know what? Like a bourbon and Coke every weekend, like $10 a week, like $40.
No, they're more than that.
I remember when
you can tell how old I am.
Footy.
Hey, do you remember when they were $1?
Oh,
I used to go to a nightclub after midnight till 1 a.m. was $1 bourbons.
Was it Toc H?
Do you ever just go to you go to the bar and get 10?
Oh, stop
And
it.
your mates are doing, you have 50 of them all like that. That was great.
We used to sip the beers because they were $1 pots on windowsill.
How good were the 80s?
The 80s were
$1
insane.
bourbons.
My God. But I always say like $10 a week. If you can put that in, fabulous.
Yeah.
And if
One drink.
One drink.
One drink, yeah.
That's it.
Easy.
And we're getting up there with coffees, aren't we? Like I heard this morning they're going up to
$7.
Yeah. So it's sort of like if you can put that in, and then as I say to everybody, if it becomes too much for you, you can stop it anytime. But if people do that. I think I told this story when I was talking to your team, and it was about that dude that rang me and said, Dana, give me the balance of my account. And it was up near $1 million.
Yeah, happy days.
Happy days. And he just went, oh, my God. And I said,
Over
what the hell? So that was from 24 through to 57. Right, but he'd been contributing other stuff from his real estate,
30
odd years or
yeah,
whatever.
right, okay.
But he was still contributing other things. But
Yeah.
I mean, it helped him.
Yeah.
Like it was just that set and forget.
Wow.
He never checked.
Yeah.
So I gave him that news, and then I said to him, this comes back to your beneficiaries, and I just said to him, okay, well, while I've got you, let's have a check, right? Because I said, have a celebration with your wife. That's amazing. And he said, no, I'm not telling her anything. And I went, righto. So that's great. So off we went, and I had a look, and I said, this is who you've got in your beneficiaries. And he said, well, that's 3 wives ago, like you said earlier, and 2 kids I don't talk to.
So if you take anything out of today, check your beneficiaries.
Check your beneficiaries. There's 2 things: salary sacrifice and beneficiaries. And they're 2. We control them.
Love it, Dana.
There's no one else that
Do we
controls
spend
it.
60 seconds on salary sacrifice?
Yeah, sure.
Can we talk about the tax implications of that?
Absolutely.
All right, you fire.
Yep. So salary sacrifice, the advantage of super is tax saving.
Okay.
So salary sacrifice, if you put something, if it comes from your employer, it's 15% tax. If it goes into your bank account like normal people do, like we all used to, right, it's marginal tax rate, anywhere from 32% up. So you're immediately saving, right, that half.
Yeah.
So put it into your super. Right? It's the best part about it is you can't touch it, which may be a disadvantage for youngies, but you know what? It's discipline.
Yeah.
Get yourself disciplined, make it happen. You will not miss it, and you will watch it grow. That compounding interest, just keep watching it grow in your statements when you come back, and you'll be a very happy person. So,
Oh, I like
Brilliant.
that. Very happy person.
Let's be very happy people.
let's be very
Dana,
happy people.
thanks for coming in today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, you
Awesome.
too, Pete. No,
Yeah.
it was great. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.